Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about one specific deck, the commander deck that I've put together. Um, I got a buddy who's just getting into the game, doesn't really have any cards of his own, and so my thought was I want to build him something that's going to be simple, that he can understand in terms of the abilities, what everything does, and I want something that's going to be kind of monocolored to kind of teach him, if I, because I have enough cards theoretically to build a monocolored deck in each color. I can kind of teach him the game color by color. Red is for aggression, green is more growth, so on and so forth. Um, but last night or the other day when I was building the deck, I kind of came to the realization that I didn't know which color I wanted to start him on. I started with a mono red commander deck using Zeta Hedron Grinder as my commander. So I went and looked through some of the decks that I had built to kind of see what I could afford to take out of decks and give to him. And I had a couple of cards that I could do that with comfortably, so I did. And then I went into my personal collection and kind of put in some of the rest, which I don't have much left in my collection at the moment. Like in all reality, I do need to buy more cards, but I ordered a couple more online, and yesterday a couple of those actually came in. So I've got the deck mostly together. It's missing one creature that's supposed to be in it, at least for right now, in Grease and Gladeheart. But the whole idea around this deck, and it's a mono green deck, is landfall. The commander being not necessarily good for the landfall, though. Good for hexproof, good for death touch. Serath the Viper's Fang is a great legendary creature if you use it in the right way as a commander, I think. And in this case, the whole rest of this deck revolves around putting out big creatures on the battlefield and using artifacts and enchantments to make them even bigger. So basic green concept. But some of the more key cards that are in here do a little bit more. I've got Bristly Bill Spinesaur, who's a $57 card. Let's see if I can find that real quick. Probably not, but Bristly Bill's in here just for the 1/1 counters, the landfall effect. Eventually, this deck is nowhere near complete, and what's in it is probably not what's going to stay in it. Slowly, one by one, I'm going to turn this into a one creature by creature. I'm going to turn it into a landfall deck, but it runs off of Bristly Bill, giving other creatures a 1/1 counter for each forest I play. Then you have the Oran Hydra, who's even more insane, where I can put a 2/2 counter on him for every forest I play, or a 1/1 counter for any other land. So every turn I'm getting a 2/2 counter on Oran Hydra, and if I have Bristly Bill the Spinesaur out on the battlefield as well, him or another creature's also getting a 1/1 counter. So that's a great way to get 1/1 counters on your creatures for free, in addition to the artifacts that I have there that are buffing up my creatures even more. Now, when I was when I was putting this deck together, there were a couple of ideas I was focused on. And this is kind of like a crash course in how I use simple strategies to put together decks. I don't ever really completely build a commander deck from a commander down. It always has to do with the abilities more than the specific cards. So this is the first deck I've really gone out and like, I need this card. I need this card. Typically, I just build decks with what I've got, and I can put together a decent commander deck in like a half hour or less. But this is taking me a little bit more, and I'm happy with it because it's a project deck. Even though this is for my buddy to use, he could use it right now. It's a 100-card deck that is very much functional, and it's pretty nasty if you can get a good draw every hand. But the whole idea is I've got creatures with trample. So when you've got those big creatures that I've made even bigger hitting your opponents, you're getting damage going beyond what they're able to block. I've got Serath the Viper's Fang, which gives all my tapped creatures death touch. So if I'm attacking and you block, you're dead anyway, so you're still taking a ton of damage. Or your creatures are dead anyway, so you're still taking a ton of damage. And it's got hexproof on all my untapped creatures. So if I bring out my commander for 4 mana, pretty cheap commander, I've got hexproof on anything that I'm not attacking you with. I've got death touch on everything I am attacking you with. And even though you can kill off my attacking creatures, I'm still probably going to have something held back that is going to really cause you some trouble. So the whole idea is to really make it as hard as possible to eliminate those creatures, because there are a couple enchantments in there that give my creatures haste or hexproof, something like that. But then, the real ace in the hole is one particular sorcery card that I just got. And that is Gaia's Blessing. If you've ever played it, ooh, it's a sorcery. You put, I think it's 2 target cards into your graveyard, you shuffle them in, or from your graveyard into your library, you shuffle them into your library. Then, when a Gaia's Blessing exits play, so when you put it in your graveyard, it's a sorcery, you put it in your graveyard anyways, you take your entire graveyard and shuffle it into your library. So, this is a deck where if you run into that card, you might not have to worry about running out of or dying because you've run out of cards. You can run straight through this deck, put the graveyard back in it, shuffle it up, and put the same fucking creatures out on the battlefield. I think that's really the biggest. It was the biggest inspiration behind me doing this as a mono green deck was the land creatures I've got with landfall, because Grazing Gladeheart, landfall, you play a land, 2 life you gain every turn, and I just want to continue to do that. So this video was all about me just kind of showing you this is how I did this. This is how I tried to make this simpler for me. I looked at the abilities. I want trample. I want hexproof. I want to put 1/1 counters on creatures. I want big creatures, and I want landfall for either life gain or 1/1 counters. And that's all I did to put together a deck that, honestly, is a lot nastier than it seems. And what makes it expensive is Bristly Bill Spine-Sower. I think other than Bristly Bill, there's not a single card in this deck that is over like $2. So it's a cheap deck to run, which is even better for someone who's starting out, because most of these cards that are in this deck are actually just commons. You can get them easy. So, just some food for thought. I hope this helps anyone who's looking into building commander decks. And we'll see you next time.